Today were Sadiq Charles, Antonio Gandy Golden, James Smith Williams, and Isaiah Wright. No limited participants. Full participants were Ronald Darby, Logan Thomas, Kevin Pierre Lewis, and Chase Young. With that, we can open it up. I think we got Ree. If Ree's not on, then we got Nikki and then Khan.
Hey, Ron, I noticed when we were out at practice that Jerron Christian was kind of walking around with a limp. Is everything straight with him, or has there been some hitch in anything with him?
He was a little sore today, so we gave him one of those vet days just to kind of give him a chance to relax, rest a little bit, and catch his breath a bit. But he should be fine tomorrow.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay.
Ron, I know one of the things you stressed in training camp was tempo and playing at a game pace. I mean, we only get to see a few minutes of practice, obviously, but has it continued the way that you would like?
Yes, I believe it has. I mean, if to me, if you look at the way we finish off the games in spite of losing, the last few. If you watch the end, the guys are still playing hard, and they're playing hard to the end. And it's the same way with practice. We had a good up-tempo practice today, and hopefully it translates on to Sunday. Again, it is about preparation, in my opinion, and hopefully we'll continue to prepare well, and then go out and put it on the field and look good.
Thanks.
Khan? No, we can go to Matt Paris.
Hey, Ron. I know you guys have been down, so you haven't been running it as much, but you guys are only averaging 3.5 yards a carry. Just what do you kind of attribute that to, and do you see any issues in the run game that you guys
No, I don't see any issues with the run game. Again, it's like you said, we've been down a little bit, and so we've thrown the ball a little bit more, and that's going to happen. And I think the thing that, you'd like to see, obviously, is you like to see that improve, but the only way it improves is by being able to run the ball. We're working on it. We got a group of young guys that are learning how to do it the right way. We got a good group of running backs that we feel pretty good about, and we'll just continue to work on it.
And then you made a charity donation to Cal, the softball. I just wanted to ask you your thought process into giving that amount.
Well, one of the things that Stephanie and I do believe in is gender equity, and if you look at some of the things that around not just at Cal but around the nation, there is a little disparity in what each group has, and we just felt that to try and help out and what we could do with the money, so it would go a long way. We decided to help the women's program and work with the women's softball program at Cal. And we did it because we really do truly believe that, gender equity is important, because we want to create same type of opportunities for women going forward. Because, one of the things that we have learned is that women that do participate in NCAA sports are successful in life. So, we just want to help create a positive environment.
And then Khan?
Hey, Ron, there was a significant trade today in the league, and probably just to start with the deadline approaching. You guys still have one game to go. Just curious how you see the team positioned with the deadline approaching, and how much do you think Sunday's result may have an impact on what you guys kind of do at the deadline?
Well, we'll see. I don't want to, deal in what ifs. We'll get to that point when we get to that point.
And then with regards to that, you obviously have gone through many deadlines as a coach, but it's the first one where you are the man in charge. How do you kind of see your role perhaps at this deadline changing, if at all, versus some other your previous times?
Well, the biggest thing is in talking, collaborating with the coaches and the personnel department more so than anything else, and really listening and talking about ideas that we have if there is something that is interesting to us.
John?
Hey, Ron. I kind of want to revisit some of the decision making and the messaging and all that. So you can thank Pete for that. But I'm curious from your end. Just do you feel? And we talked about this the other day. But do you feel that it's been consistent? And is it an example of coaching by gut and feel and all that for you?
It is for me. I mean, and that's probably why it looks inconsistent. Is that one thing that I've learned is that you have to treat everybody fair. but you're not going to be able to treat everybody the same. Well, it's the same thing for the situations. You treat each situation as it comes along, and that's kind of where we are. So when I get into those situations, I will go by my gut. I'll go by the feel. I mean, I'm going to draw on my experience. I've been fortunate enough to be in this league for 35 years. So as I go through it, I'm going to make decisions based on what I think, first of all, is best for us. That's my fiduciary responsibility, is to do things that is best for this organization that I believe is going to help us going forward. That's why I make the decisions that I make. And it does look a little inconsistent, but the consistency is that I'm going to make them based on what I know, on my gut feeling on things. And hopefully, they're good decisions. And if not, we'll know, and I'll take responsibility. That's for doggone sure. One thing I learned, and I learned it from John Madden, I used to go and visit with Coach, and we'd sit down and we'd talk about things. And he kind of helped me road map things out as we went forward when I first got started as a head coach. And a lot of my success is owed to him. But one of the things he told me, he says, Ron, you've played enough football, you've coached enough football to know what's right or wrong. If you go based on what you feel is best for your team, you have a good chance. He said, rely on those things. And that's kind of what I've done. And I've kind of tried to rely on my gut instincts, and based on certain things that I see, I just make decisions. And that's really what I did. I looked at a circumstance, situation. I felt, you know what, this is better for us. Let's give this a shot. And it just, it's happened at all different positions. If you look at some of the changes we've made, it's happened, at the quarterback, it's happened at the safety, it's happened at the offensive line. I mean, so these decisions that we're making are what I believe best for us going forward. Now, can they change? Absolutely. That's part of my prerogative as a head coach, is that I can change my mind. Okay. Because if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. Okay. That's one thing I've told you guys, is that I'll take the responsibility because I am the one making the decision.
And then as far as because you're also going to have messages that when you're talking to us versus your team, how different and how do you differentiate with that role? Talking to the public versus talking to the team.
Well, that's a great question, because the message you guys hear is obviously much different than the message I give to the players, because there are certain things that shouldn't be said to you guys, and there's certain things that the players I shouldn't say to the players. And so as I go through this, it's a balancing act, and it's a delicate balancing act sometimes, and because that's part of the responsibility, is that making sure the right message is out there. But as I said, the one thing, that I hope everybody understands is that I do have a prerogative and a responsibility. The responsibility, as I said, is my fiduciary responsibility is to make sure the decisions I make are best for the team. Okay. And then the decisions I make have to be decisions that do fall in line with what I believe.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Chris Russell.
Hey, Ron, just curious, Dallas obviously had a tough night turning the ball over on Monday. They've had some issues in that regard. From a defensive perspective, how do you balance, getting your team to be aggressive and maybe taking advantage of some of those turnover opportunities that might present themselves, but making sure that they don't, maybe jump a ball too early or jump a route too early, or have their eyes in the backfield, or try and tomahawk chop or strip, say Zeke Elliott without maybe wrapping up and tackling? How do you balance that from a defensive perspective?
Probably just because, like what you're doing, talk about it. And that's probably one of the most important things you can do, is you can talk about it, you can mention it, and you can talk about the best way to do it. Today, there was an emphasis on takeaways, and you watch the way they practiced the defense going after the ball, trying to get the ball loose. That was pretty impressive. I thought they had a good day. And that's, one of the things that you have to do is you have to emphasize it. There's some pretty good stats out there that show you that if you win the takeaway battle, you more than likely win the game. And that's part of, one of the things that you have to keep in mind, is that creating takeaways, gets their offense off the field, obviously, and put yours back on. Creating takeaways on their side of the 50 creates a better opportunity to score points. And that's all been talked about and discussed. And that's how important that stat is. So again, we've got to stick to it, do the best we can, and continue to work on it. And like you said, we got to understand what the fine line is in terms of trying to get the ball out.
Last.
Hey, Ron. Something you were talking about a few minutes ago made me think. I mean, when you were, the other day, you were pretty, you were confident in the decision to go for 2. when you have a few days and it's 1-5 and it's 1-5 and it's 1-5, do you start to doubt that? Do you start to
No.
look at it differently, or no, I made that decision, I've got to live with it, move on?
Absolutely. And I'm going to stick with it. Guys, like I said, decisions I make are what I believe are the best. And again, I believe, and I'm going to stick to it. I don't want to waver. I want doubt. I want it to be very confident. I want to go very forward. And like I said, each situation, each circumstance, I'm going to look at, and I'm going to make my decision based on what I think is best for us going forward. And I will live with those decisions, and I will step to the plate and take ownership of that. So I'm like I told you guys, I'm not afraid of it.
Does any time, or has any time in your career, one decision 1 week affected a decision a couple of weeks later, or are they each in their own vacuum?
They're each in their own vacuum. But I will tell you this: my first 2 years, go back and look at it, I was 3-13, and on games that were decided by 6 points or less. And I went back and looked at them, and there were some decisions that now I wouldn't have made. But I learned, and those were hard knocks, and they were things that I had to get and understand and learn as a head coach. And so I think that's part of what drives my decision making now.
Thanks.
Hey, Ron, you have the bye coming up after the Dallas game. What are some of the biggest things offensively, defensively that you want to see from your team in this game as you head into the bye with the chance to kind of reset after that?
Well, I think one of the things you'd like to see is on defense, improve our third down, be a little bit better at that, and then go from there. Offensively, it's been mentioned, I'd like to see us run the ball a little bit better, but I think that also has a little bit to do with, being able to be, in a lead position or tied position, and give ourselves more opportunities to run it. That's what I really do. I think right now, Kyle's moving us pretty well. We've responded pretty well to it, and we'll see how that all goes as we go forward. And I think those are some of the things that we need to take a look at. Now, we're going to do a self-scout and an evaluation of us as a football team, and we'll see what it says.
Hey, guys, we're running a little behind. We got time for 3 more.
I wanted to ask you about Robert Foster. I guess just generally what you guys liked about him to bring him in, and then is there any chance he would clear the protocols for Sunday, or is this a future thing?
This will be a future thing. Unfortunately, with the way it's set up, he won't clear it in time. But even if he did, he probably wouldn't be available. He wouldn't know what to do yet. But he's fast. He can run. He can get vertical very quickly. He'd be a good offset to Terry on the other side. He's got special teams value. That's one thing that was very impressive to us as well. But like I said, he can run, he can get vertical, and he's got special teams value. And we'll see how it goes.
2 more.
When it comes to Cam Sims, it looks like he'll be in line for more action this weekend. What will be key for him to help out on offense, and what can he bring on the offensive side?
Well, the biggest thing for him to help more is opportunity, and it looks like he's going to get it because of the situation we're in. I mean, he's done a great job. He showed last year he can do some things. He's showing this year he has some ability to do things. And it's really been about opportunity, and now he has an opportunity to show us what he can do as an offensive player. We know his value at special teams is huge. And, a guy like that, you want to see what else he can do.
Last one.
Hey, Ron, Scott Abraham, ABC7. I'm not a big fan of this phrase, but I'm going to ask anyway. Even though it's only week 7, you got the division leaders coming to town. Is this a must-win game? Because you look at the standings, you look at kind of the scenarios. Is this a must-win game because you're a game behind Dallas? You lose, you maybe drop 2 back. Week 7, what are you thinking here?
I think they're all must-win, to be honest with you, Scott. But this is important. It's and I've used this phrase before. I've told the players this is the most important game we'll play as of now because it's the one we're about to play, and that's the focus we have to have because it is important. It's within the division, and I've said it. If you want to win the division, you have to win within the division.